Okay, people. Once again, CSI 252, section 60, where I decided to make another lecture video, a short one here, just to clear up the horse hockey I created in the first one, because I didn't know what a dot row after was. And right here we have a dot row after. This is in the style section, so this could have been in an external CSS file. And what we have here is when we define, this is a pseudo class, so we have rows. We're going to use a row down there, and row is already defined for us. We don't have to, unless we wanted to change the formatting, the default formatting of a row, but it doesn't look like they do that here. It looks like they don't do anything special for rows, except to add this thing called row after. The after pseudo class, or pseudo element, or however you want to say it, it puts in something after every row. If you had paragraph, like if you had a P colon after, it would put something after every paragraph. At the end of every row, it inserts something with no content. That's why it says content empty quotation marks, and sets the display to this table mode, which is pretty generic thing as far as that goes. I have I have some code here that displays various paragraphs in and well, I guess they're headers, and puts them in the various modes. And let's see what we have here. Just put the finishing touches on this, and this is all in the style section. So we kind of created some special paragraphs. P.ex1, that's our own special paragraph. P.ex2, ex3, ex4, and when we go to put the content in, we're done with the style / end style section. We're done with the head section. We're now in the body, and the first paragraph gets ex1, and the second one's going to get ex2. The third one will be styled by paragraph class ex3, then paragraph class ex4 and ex5. Okay, we will save this file, and then we will let me find the proper place here. There we go. So this guy looks like this, and it has various paragraphs, but the titles are displayed with this display table, display inline, display block, and it seems to affect the text as far as wrapping goes. Okay, so I think if we had a picture or something in here, it would set whether the picture was, say, inline, whether it was in more of a table presentation with the text, or block or inline block. So I'm that's about as far as I dug into that, and it doesn't seem to mess with us as our row after. Let's get out of there. Our row after says display table, but we're going to put something after every row that doesn't contain anything and has these two properties. Display has the table value and clear has the both value, and it says in the comments that clears any floats that are set up in the columns. So There we go. We can we can see how that works out. Apparently, in order to not carry something to the next row of columns or whatever, you need this. All right. Again, I am not quite aware of it. I went back to W3 schools to find an explanation for it, and they gave a very generalized explanation of what after means, but as far as why it says clear both display table, current empty, I didn't really make much progress. But the best thing I can tell you is that it's something that is put, we have a row of 2 columns, if you will, and as those things wrap, I guess you don't want them, you want the columns to, I guess if the columns were to, you squeeze the display narrow and the columns were to stack on each other, you're now in a row format, and I guess you don't want the format from one column to impose on the other column or something. You now have maybe 2 rows or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but it has to do with when things wrap, it will not carry certain properties, past the wrapping point. Okay, so there I've done a fantastic job of explaining that. Let's look at this file. I made a couple changes, by the way. I should show you. For one thing, I put in actual links and just called them Goog, FFox, NASA, and YouTube, so you can see that. And I added a new style. As you know, in the nav bar, they have something that says that I expanded this. It used to be when the screen got to 800 pixels, the columns would stack. I made that 1200 so we could see it more easily. And when the screen got to 800 pixels, or it used to be 400, the links would stack. Well, I made that now 1200 and 800 so it would be easier for us to see it, because we couldn't seem to squeeze down to 400 pixels. Some limitation on my machine or the number of tabs I had open or something. So that's one change I made. The other change I made is, if you remember, we had top nav, that's for our navigation bar, and in top nav we had some styling with properties and values for an A tag. And an A tag is how we just display a link, and then if you hovered over the link, it would change the background color and the color of the text. That's kind of cool. So then what I did is I said, let's create some A links. Let's create an A.L, which is an A link that floats to the left, and let's create a style for A-link.R. So these are both A links, but they're we should call them subclasses. They're for A links that are declared with the class L, they will float left. If they're declared with class R, they'll float right. So let's take a look at our code and see what that does. I'm also going to show you a document that'll be posted on the Moodle site to show you every div that's in here. I've made a blue box just so you can see what all this div stuff means. You can actually see it. So let's go look at our new file here. And I don't care about Latin or English. So, oops, I'm a bit too wide here. All right, there we go. You see the whole thing. Now we have what we had before. We have a header, we have a footer, we have a nav bar. You can see when I hover over them they change. And the nav bar, see, 3 of these guys have the A.L class and one of them has the A.R class, and I'll show you that in the code when we get down into the nav bar area. Here we go, class equals top nav. That's our nav bar. And we have 4 links. 3 of them are class equals L, so they're A with a class equals L, and there's one A with a class equals R. So that, the style stuff, which could be in a separate file, external CSS, the style stuff tells us what those classes mean. So that's all well and good. Now let's try to shrink this thing and see what happens. So I get down here, and at 1200, the column, these columns should, there we go. So we must have passed 1200. There's our 2 headings, and now the stuff from the right column, about me, popular post, and follow me, are down below. I still have my footer, but the nav bar hasn't yet stacked. If I keep going and hit 800, boom, there we go. Now the nav bar stacks. We still have our hover changing. So now you can see that as well. The other thing I want to show you for this file, and the name of this file is there are 2 of them. There's an O1 and an O2. The O1 is what I grabbed from W3 schools, and the O2 is contains my changes. So we'll format that a little bit. Okay. So every blue box here, you can see there's a blue box for header, nav bar. They declared a row. Each one of these, each blue box is a div, is a division, which is marked with a div and an end of div tag in these files. And inside the column there are these things called cards. They include some headings and some text and some, I wrote card here, but this whole blue thing is, well, I guess this guy's a div also, this fake image thing. Let's go check, and maybe I have to fix that. Yeah, see, there's a div for class card, and then the fake image also is a div. So just so you know, and I hope you're noticing these things, even though this thing says card, this box right here with the title text in it, saw a typo there, with the title text in it, and the some more text kind of stuff that's in there. Come on. I was able to select it. Well, I'll fix that for you, because there's missing a greater than sign on that one. And so every one of these blue rectangles is a div. So you look at the divs in there, and it makes you divvy. Kind of like dizzy. Get what I'm doing there? So this goes along with those files, so you can track all the things they divved, if you will. And that's basically a CSS layout in a large scale format, and there are some defined, predefined formats, and I have them somewhere. I will post links to them. And so that's that. The last thing we'll do is I'll give you I'll give you a homework assignment, and you can turn it in. We have till like 21st, so probably make it like the 19th or something. So like a week from this Wednesday, where you take your 22 greatest great programmers, and you get to format it any way you want. As long as I see some, as long as I see, say, like a header and some kind of column in there, and then maybe each programmer is in its own div. You create a div for the each programmer, and you do that, and that's our last homework. And I think you're going to find the take-home final is pretty easy. It's mostly like vocabulary and just questions about HTML. So, yes, here I am bouncing back and forth. So that's that, and I wish you a wonderful summer. Email me and let me know if you have questions about the homework or that sort of thing. But if you get your great programmer in, and you get some sense of CSS large-scale formatting, then we will find a way to get you a very fine grade. And I thank you for putting up with me this semester. Things were a little slow. I didn't have any material to work from previous semesters, so kind of had to throw this together. I hope that you did get something out of the idea of building a web page in HTML and CSS. So take it easy, and God bless, and we might see you in a class in the future. Who knows? All right, bye-bye.